Are we good, James?
We are live.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council special meeting of November 3rd, 2021. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:30. If you would all please rise. Oh, we don't. Yes, we do have the pledge. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
for all. Thank you, everyone. Next item is the roll call, please.
Counselor Anist.
Here.
Counselor Braverman.
Here.
Counselor Budraco.
Here.
Counselor Camillo.
Here.
Counselor Donahue.
Here.
Counselor Mankey.
Here.
Counselor Minor.
Here.
Counselor Nagel.
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
All right, next item is public participation. Public participation, this is on the agenda only because it is a special meeting. The two items on the agenda are personnel, town manager and personnel NASA contract strategy and negotiations. I will share with everyone that the executive session under A we will not be taking up this evening. There's no need for it. So when we get there, we will just choose not to take that up. But I'm just letting anyone who may be participating in public participation know that. And I'm just going to click over under attendees. We do not have anyone on right now. If anyone joins in the next few seconds, you can raise your hand in order to join the meeting and be recognized. We'll just give it a minute. All right, I do not see anyone joining us right now. So we will continue on. Remarks by counselors on public participation. There was none, so we'll continue forward. The next item is executive session. As I mentioned earlier, we do not have a need for A, personnel. So we will choose not to take that up this evening, and we will move straight to executive session B, personnel for the NASA contract strategy and negotiations. There is a motion in our packet. Who would like to go ahead and read that for us?
I can do it if you like.
Sure, thank you, Councilor Mankey.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 1-200-6B, hereby moves to go into executive session and invites the town council members, the mayor, attorney Kenneth Plum, Keith Chapman, town manager and James Kapinski, town clerk, to discuss a personnel issue, NASA contract strategies and negotiations.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Councilor Braverman. Any discussion?
You can go here if you like.
Hearing none. I will remind the counselors that this is an executive session and therefore it is confidential. If you are in a place in your home or wherever you are that is not confidential, I would request that you put in some earphones so that information remains confidential. If I have reason to believe that someone's not in a confidential place, then we'll have to address that. Mr. Chapman, you have your hand up?
Click on.
Yes, now we're going into an executive session. We're going to leave this meeting and go over to an executive session meeting.
That is correct. Email just went out to everybody. Please keep the link to this live meeting that you're in currently available because we will be returning to it for further action on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. All right. We have a motion on, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we stand in executive session at 5:34. I will meet you all in the other link.
Does look like we have all 8 back, Mayor.
All right, we're all set. Just, we are now back in regular session at 7:05. I will just mention that Counselor Annis was present earlier, but did have to leave the meeting, so she is not present anymore, for the record.
At 6:47.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is an item for old business. It is the a discussion item of the Newington Association of School Administrators Agreement. On Monday, October 18th, the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Brummett, filed the signed contract between the Board of Education and the Newington Association of School Administrators through June 30th, 2026 in the town clerk's office. The Board of Education had met on this on October 13th in executive session to discuss the proposed contract and acted to approve it during the regular meeting later that evening. You will see in our timeline that according to section 10-153DB of the Connecticut General Statutes, once a signed copy of a contract is filed with the town clerk's office, the Newington Town Council has 30 days in which to review the contract. The contract, unless rejected by the town council before November 16th, 2021, would be binding upon the town of Newington. We did have an executive session prior to this discussion item with our labor attorney, Kenneth Plum, to discuss some concerns regarding the contract. And so I will, sorry, I'm just moving my windows around here.
I haven't seen him come in yet. I'm checking email right now.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm just opening my screen. Okay. So Attorney Plum, just so you know, I didn't realize you hadn't popped in yet. I just gave a brief synopsis of the course of events in the fact that the superintendent had filed with the town clerk's office. That is our duty to discuss this and either reject or take no action prior to November 16th. And if we take no action, the contract will be binding upon the town of Newington. Excuse me. We did meet in executive session, and there are some concerns with the procedure and process that was followed with the negotiations of this contract. And so I guess I can open it to discussion just to give a brief overview of the discussion that we had as a council. We are concerned by the fact that previously there was a contract negotiated without following the Connecticut General Statute requirement to notify the town of Newington, as well as allow us to have a seat at the table during the negotiation, which is part of the general statute. That process was recognized. There was concern raised. This process was begun with this contract for NASA without filing with the town and letting us know with a 30 days notice that is required. We weren't notified. We weren't afforded the opportunity to be at the table for the negotiations. And so the council was concerned with that. And that was the purpose of our executive session, to discuss with Attorney Plum what that really means in terms of the general statute. Are there any counselors that would like to add to that description of things, or are you satisfied with my description?
I think you nailed it.
Okay. So tonight we have before us this contract that we need to decide how we want to proceed on. And based on the discussion of the council, we have decided to not take action. We recognize that the employees deserve a fair and binding contract moving forward, and we would choose not to penalize them in the process, even though we disagree with the procedure that was followed by the superintendent of schools and the administration, in that they did not follow the general statute that requires notification of the town and again, the affordability of us to be at the table for part of the negotiation. That being said, we have, through our executive session, I'm sorry, I have lots of notes in front of me, decided to move, as I mentioned, we will let the contract go November 16th. We have no intention of rejecting it. We will allow it to go into play for the employees of the town because we feel that's only fair. That being said, the council decided that we would, and I can read a motion into the record if the council would like me to, but I would move that the council authorizes Ken Plum to assist in filing a complaint with the Connecticut State Board of Education under section 10-4B on behalf of the town council, as I mentioned, with assistance from the labor attorney Kenneth Plum, to ensure that the violation of the process and procedure regarding the general statute does not happen again. Ken, is that an adequate motion? Did I capture it?
Yes, you did.
All right, so the motion is on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Donahue, and I would open it up for discussion by the council. I don't see any hands up. I think our best bet here would be to do a roll call vote.
Oh, you said Counselor Yanis is left, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Counselor Braverman? You're muted, Sharon.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Abstain due to my expiration of term November 9th.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. So just for the public, I want to say it one more time. We are not fighting the contract that was brought forward. We agree that the contract is fair and it makes sense to support the employees and move that forward. We are not going to reject that contract. We just have a problem with the procedure. Just want to make sure that's clear. All right, we will continue on now to new business, which before us this evening is the State Historic Preservation Office Grant, HRF application for the Kellogg Eddy House and Garage. There is a waiver requested this evening, and I believe that has to do with the fact that the timeline is this Friday. Is that correct, James?
That is correct, although we may have a short amount of an extension probably out to Tuesday. Our new facilities director is also on the meeting.
Okay.
Able to address any questions the council may have.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm sorry, guys, I'm navigating a lot of pages here. So, Mr. Chapman or Joe, Mr. Solomon, who wants to take the lead on explaining this one for us?
Well, Joe is here. He's our facilities manager and he's been working on this. So Joe, it's all yours.
So with the grant, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. So with the grant, there is a easement and conveyance declaration that needs to be filed accordingly. What it does is restrict the use of the property for a time length based upon the amount of grant that we receive. In this case, between the house roof replacement and the garage roof replacement, the contract would be roughly between $189,000 to $223,000 combined. So that puts us, depending on where it comes in, on the borderline between the 15 and the 20-year restriction. Reading through a sample contract, there really isn't anything that jeopardizes or put the town at risk. We're going to continue to own the property. We continue to run the property as we see fit as a historical society. It just has some restrictions in what we do with the property as a permanent fixture to the town, or as under ownership, I should say.
Okay. And so in terms of the timeline, Joe, you need us to waive this evening to take action?
So the deadline for the grant is the 5th. We got an extension to Tuesday. we
Yeah.
need a letter. We also need another letter from the attorney, which I believe Keith is working on for us to file as well.
Okay. So if the deadline is Tuesday, though, we would need to take action this evening, certainly, because the council wouldn't be meeting on Tuesday until after end of business.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Correct.
So I see Counselor Minor, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Joe. Real quick, was there work done on that roof in recent years? For some reason, it's ringing a bell that there was. Was there something done?
The roof was replaced in 2014.
Okay, and it's in need of replacement again?
Unfortunately, it is. Yes, unfortunately, it is.
Is there additional deterioration, or I'm just trying to figure out what happened?
So unfortunately, prior to myself, I'm not really sure under whose jurisdiction as far as the facility director goes. That attic space was completely encapsulated with spray foam. And what that did, it was compromise all the wood shingles on that roof. So they are not breathing as they should in order to maintain integrity to the roof and that shingle system. So they're cupping and compromised. And we have some water infiltration starting, and it's just going to deteriorate and become worse and damage and potentially damage, obviously, those important contents in the building.
Okay, I appreciate that. And just one quick follow-up for Keith. I know there have been some discussions over the last year or so about possible ownership of some of our historical properties being umbrellaed under a different organization. Does this affect that at all? If there were to be any type of a transfer of a historical?
No, I can
society?
answer that for you. This easement would only affect us if we wanted to sell the property to a private owner.
Okay.
Or a private organization, another nonprofit or similar organization to the Historical Society would be fine.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Counselor Manke?
So if I get this correctly, the roof is leaking at this point?
I mean, leaking's a strong word. Leaking's a strong word. We have some definite potential infiltration points that are a concern of mine.
Okay, are we going to remove the sprayed on foam or come up with another system to keep the roof?
No,
breathing?
so that's the in lieu of removing the spray on foam, because there's a lot involved with that. I've met with the building official and the fire marshal and received input from both of their areas of expertise. So in lieu of that, we are going to replace the roof again. Like I said, it was just done in 2014, but we are going to employ some new modern methods that allow an air gap between the wooden shingles and the sheathing. And in this case, it's a fiber mat that allows this air gap. And it's all been designed by an architect, Martin Benassi. So that's the method that we are going to employ for this repair.
Okay, so then I see no reason not to go ahead with this.
Counselor Nagel?
Having been on the Historical Society for many years, I can attest that the last time that the town put the roof on in 2014, it was done inappropriately, and the Historical Society was not, as far as I know, in on the conversation as to how it could be done, or they would have been rigorously saying that what was going to be done would potentially damage the structure as well as the materials that are historical significance within it. So I hope that clarifies as to why 2014, and it should never have been done in the process that it was done in the first place. And this corrects that. Also, just to make certain I'm clear, the Historic Society is not affected in any negligent kind of way because of what is done through the application for monies involving that. So is that true?
I'm not sure if I completely understand the question.
I just want to know if the Historical Society can continue under the same auspices as they have with the town, and there isn't any change in that or jeopardy in which the Historical Society would, with the agreement they had, that would be changed and adversely affect what they are responsible for at the time being, which is the interior and the contents within the building and not the outside of the structure.
I don't see any reason why the relationship that the Historical Society has with the town would differ or change in any way.
I do think that it's important just to re-emphasize that at this point because of what previously has happened with the roof that was incorrectly done. So clarify that should make all parties happy.
Understood.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that obviously the Historical Society has been brought into the conversation already on this. And
so I've had a brief conversation with Jim Late. We have a meeting again on Friday.
Right.
So
so
I
they'll
don't
be
know
part
that
of the process.
I'm sorry?
They'll be part of the process.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if he understands exactly where I am right now, just because we haven't had that conversation as of,
Right.
Within the last week, but we meet again on Friday.
Okay. And I just want to say, I am totally in favor of this, and I'm really pleased to see that the town is exploring other opportunities through, grants or outside funding to preserve and maintain our historical assets. Because, as you can see, personally, I think it's been pretty low in our list of priorities. Every year when the CIP has come up, it seems to get shortchanged. And I think actually the operation that happened in 2014 might be a testament to how maybe it doesn't get the attention or the funding or whatever that it deserves. But for a town that's celebrating 150 years this year of our incorporation, and certainly residents have been living here, an awful long time before that. I don't think we've done a good job at paying attention to some of our historic treasures, and we don't have an awful lot left. And, the Kellogg Eddy, it could be a destination along with if we start taking care of some of our other historical properties, because other communities have successfully used properties like this to become a lure for development and investment. And we certainly, we actually even, this is just going into another, I digress a bit, but, we have 3 areas in town designated on the historical register. And most residents don't even know that. And certainly as a town, we haven't taken care of that. So if we can kind of start looking at their history, paying attention to it, getting school trips there, getting it, we're near a TOD, get some of these properties spruced up. Maybe we can capitalize it as museums and investment opportunities. So I certainly think that I appreciate the fact that the town is looking, because we do have to, one of the things we did run on as a council is to be cognizant of our financial situation. So looking to outside grants, through SHPA and other available funds is just a wonderful idea, and I applaud you for it, and I hope that we can get the funding for this.
Deputy Mayor. Any other council comment? I just want to say I was pleased to see that we're working with Sonic on this. This was an initiative of the council to start really trying to procure more grant money, and it's nice to see that we're doing more of that already. All right,
Sonia
so
from Sonic was very helpful, Mayor.
Oh, good. That's great to hear, Joe. Thank you. So we have before us first the resolution to waive the rules in order to be able to take action this evening. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules of Procedure adopted February 11th, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 7A to execute a historic restoration fund grant package.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. And discussion on waiving of the rules this evening? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We now would read into the record the actual resolution for the grant application. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, if you would.
Authorizing resolution of the Newington Town Council. Resolved that the Town of Newington Town Council hereby authorizes Keith Chapman, Town Manager, to execute and deliver in the name and on behalf of the Town of Newington a certain Historic Restoration Fund grant application to the State of Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, for the Kellogg Eddy House Roof and Garage, and to affix the town seal. Be it further resolved that Keith Chapman now holds the office of Town Manager and that he has held the office since January 10th, 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Nagel. I know because we did waive the rules, I need to offer public participation on this item. So I will just click on over to our public window. Any member of the public who wishes to weigh in on this motion due to the waiving of the rules may do so at this time by raising your hand in the participants window on the Zoom application, or if you're calling in on your phone, it would be *9 to raise your hand and be recognized. We'll just give it a moment. I see just one member of the public right now. Okay, there is no one raising their hand, so we are good. Council, any further discussion on this item before we go to vote? All right,
Nope.
seeing none. If you would unmute your mics, folks. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Solomon, thanks for your work on this. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, have a good evening.
Same to you.
Thank you. All right, folks, the next item on our agenda is public participation on the agenda only. As I just mentioned, you may raise your hand in the Zoom window or in the participants window, or you may do *9 if you are on your cell phone. I don't see any members of the public raising their hands, so we will continue on to remarks by councilors. All right, seeing none, we will move. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Mankey, seconded by Counselor Braverman. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We stand adjourned at 7:27. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Aye.
you.
See ya.
Bye.